kind of an angry piece, and it's really just it's really. Oh, I know that's weird, and also surprisingly for those who know me, it's about dogs. So I know, get the fuck out right now. So I hope that I will not actually weep. I'm prone to, like, Alpo commercials actually make me sob uncontrollably, so I'm not really sure what's going to happen here. But if I do, let's all just be with the suffering. Let's work through it like something. Okay, so yesterday morning, Colorado Springs police, in the course of investigating a burglary, I'm also shaking because I get really stupidly nervous about stuff. I'm afraid you're all going to turn on me like a pack of ravenous animals and kill me, so please don't. Thank you. Just enjoy your adult beverages.
Stay in the light and start over so that I can actually do
Oh,
this.
am I not in the light?
Thank you.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you.
Oh no, it's happening.
Yes, okay. Well, now I can't see what the hell I'm reading.
Well then,
There's just a big light blurb now. Okay, so the police shot and killed a dog yesterday. Now, of course, the news made sure to tell us that the dog was a pit bull, and that it was charging the police, who had no choice but to shoot it. And that's usually how it goes. The police issue a statement. They put, the public hears about a big scary dog threatening the police and the public and assumes that there is no other way. And we also assume those aggressive breeds are trouble. The people who own them are thugs. So we think probably that's what should have happened. So I'd like to tell you about Chloe. Chloe was a therapy dog, a boxer Keeshond mix, who was staying with her person's cousin in Commerce, Colorado, while her family was out of town last November. Her caretaker left her and a Labrador named Jack in the garage when she went to work, but she failed to notice that the garage door had reopened after she closed it and had driven away. A little while later, somebody in the neighborhood, unaware that Chloe was staying in the neighborhood, called 911 to report a vicious pit bull roaming the vicinity. After police arrived, Chloe went back into her garage and sat on her bed for nearly 30 minutes while the police decided what to do. She barked at the strange people gathered outside, but made no effort to come out. It seems to me that the most efficient way to solve the problem at this point might simply have been to close the garage door. But you might be unaware that recently a man sued his local police department for discrimination when they declined to allow him on the force because his IQ at 125 was too high. The average IQ for an American law enforcement officer today is 104. Now, I'm not sure about you, but I'm not sure I feel very comforted by the idea of people with IQs barely over 100 being the ones carrying guns and thinking quickly in a crisis. So apparently, the simple solution just did not occur to anyone. So eventually, police and an animal control officer entered the garage, which frightened Chloe. They tased her twice, and then put her on a catch pole as she fled the stranger with the taser. As Chloe, terrified, struggled against the catch pole, Officer Robert Price drew his gun and from less than 3 feet away shot her 5 times. The official statement by the Commerce City Police Department asserted that Chloe was aggressive, that the officers felt she was dangerous to neighborhood residents and to the police, and that they had no choice but to kill her. Of course, that was before they found out that the son of the man who had originally called police was filming the entire incident from across the street. The video clearly shows Chloe sitting on her bed in the garage, making no attempt to aggress against anyone. Far from being concerned about a vicious and dangerous dog, the police are standing around calmly, many with their backs to Chloe. Chloe, at the moment of her death, is doing nothing but trying to escape from the stranger with the stick who has caught her. Officer Price does not seem concerned or afraid. He seems annoyed and brutal. The animal control officer next to him seems utterly shocked and horrified by his actions. This, of course, is not the first time that video evidence directly contradicts the official department statement regarding incidents of police misconduct, which is probably why they're so concerned with passing laws around the country making it illegal to film police during the course of their official business. It's worth mentioning, too, that this officer, who is theoretically trained to use a firearm in high-intensity situations, managed to miss at least once from a distance of less than 3 feet, sending his stray bullet into a residential area. Luckily, it didn't kill anyone's child, unlike the incident last week in which an officer trying to shoot a snake killed a 3-year-old boy instead. Then there was Ziggy, just a couple of months later. Ziggy was lying calmly on the floor of his dad's Denver office late at night when 2 police officers investigating a possible break and enter came to the wrong address. And after entering the unlocked office door without knocking and without a warrant, shot Ziggy when he got up to bark at the intruders. Then they held Ziggy's dad, Jeff Fisher, remind you, the wrong guy, at gunpoint on his knees, preventing him from comforting Ziggy as he died, confused, terrified, and in agony. "Calm down, sir," the officer who had shot Ziggy said. "You can get another dog." That same officer had shot another dog to death in the past and had recently been investigated for shooting and killing an unarmed man during a routine traffic stop, claiming that he had been reaching for the flare gun on the passenger side floor. Scar was shot in his own yard by a Thornton police officer who was pursuing a suspect through the neighborhood. Sara was shot by an officer on the streets a few months later in Thornton after she got out of her yard. A North Carolina officer kicked and then shot a dachshund who had attacked her ankle. No bite marks were evident on her skin. The little dog had bitten her pant leg. A California officer, again at the wrong address, inexplicably threw a chair over the fence at Chico Blue and then tased him twice. After he staggered, terrified and bewildered to the front door, the cops shot him twice. Chico tried to get away by jumping into the squad car, perhaps hoping to be taken for a ride away from such frightening, cruel strangers. The cop kicked the door shut and let Chico bleed out in the car. Max, the Rottweiler, may be the most high-profile case to date. He was shot 4 times by a Hawthorne, California police officer who was arresting his dad, Leon Rosby, for filming what he believed to be police misconduct. Another bystander captured the entire incident on video and put it on YouTube, where it has been viewed millions of times and caused nationwide outrage, both at the brutality of Max's death and the obvious violation of Mr. Rosby's civil rights. The video shows Mr. Rosby, restrained by other officers, pleading for the life of his dog, who was shot several times at point-blank range, and then left to writhe in the street until he eventually dies, while Mr. Rosby screams in anguish. According to some reports, this happens something like 250,000 times a year in this country. Google dogs shot by police and be prepared to spend hours reading and crying. The number of times a police officer has been killed by a dog in the last 100 years? 0. 0 times. In the 1880s, there were a couple of cop-on-dog police deaths in which the dog bit the police officer who subsequently died of rabies, but that's really the last time. Where are the tasers? Where is the pepper spray? Where is the training? Why, after the dog is down, is it necessary to keep shooting? How is it that mailmen and utility workers manage to get through their work days without using deadly force on dogs? How is it that in the UK, where police do not carry guns, there have been so few incidents of dog-on-cop violence? Is it a matter of training, or is there something more sinister at work? I'm genuinely asking, I don't know. In the various videos of these incidents, the officers rarely, if ever, actually appear frightened or concerned. They look irritated or angry or intent or bored. Sometimes they stand around in the street laughing with other officers afterwards. One actually high-fived his friend and said nice after shooting Rosie, the Newfoundland, 4 times. Sometimes they detain the horrified families, often victims of mistaken identity or wrong addresses, preventing them from getting their dog to an emergency vet until it's far too late to save their lives. Sometimes they hide the bodies in dumpsters. Sometimes the dogs they hide aren't quite dead yet. You have to wonder, is this because they don't know any better, because they haven't been trained and these incidents are just too complex for their 100-point IQs? Or is it because they know that although the law still views our pets as property, a large percentage of the American people thinks of them as family, and that the next time we see police engaging in activity for which they ought to be held accountable, we'll remember that we have our dog in the car and quietly look the other way? Thank you.